Howdy doody. How we doing, everybody? We are here with Rob Kraft, one of our teachers, longest tenured teacher of the Rockdale squad, and he's here back for a sweet picking stunt guitar clinic, right? Where we did one with tapping last time. Actually, last time we did some pedal effects, some modulation pedal effects. But the last one that was really instrument based was our tapping exercise. So if you look in the chat, we do have a link in the top of the chat and I'll keep posting that throughout, so you can take a look at it in case the chat gets too long. And that's going to be all of the tab and music for what Rob's teaching today. If you have any questions, just pop them right into the chat. And
we got
a question. We'll save questions for the end too. Okay, if you have one to type in, you can type into the chat, or have Mom type into the chat. But we will definitely get to your questions at the end too. Okay. All right, Rob, take it away.
All right, cool. So yeah, today we're talking about sweep picking. So sweep picking is just an idea with a way of executing arpeggios normally, although there are other ways of using this. But most commonly, the idea of sweep picking is basically because of the layout of your guitar, you've got strings all in a row like that. The basic idea is just instead of trying to alternate pick your way through it, like let's say I wanted to play my third, second, and then first strings, instead of picking down, up, down, just use one motion to play those three strings. And obviously one motion is going to be quicker than three motions. So that's the basic idea behind sweep picking. And there's a whole bunch of different famous guitar players through the years that have kind of weaponized this in, pretty incredible ways. Kind of most notably, I feel like a Swedish guitar player named Yngwie Malmsteen is the guy that really made this famous for all of his sweep picking licks. But there's other guitar players that use it in different ways too. Another one that's very famous is called Frank Gambale. He's a fusion guitar player. He uses it in a different way. We're going to be doing more of the Yngwie approach as far as to these arpeggios. The Frank Gambale way is more commonly called hybrid picking, so it's sort of a combination of sweeping and alternate picking. So that's a thing, I think, for another time.
Yeah.
So the basic, or actually, I feel like one of the things that kind of trips people up with sweep picking is that you're not really going to just sweep. We're going to need other techniques as well. So if you look at example number one, it's a basic little C major arpeggio, and we're going to need to use a pull off and one little teeny alternate pick in there to kind of make this cycle or make it kind of work. How well can you hear my guitar?
You can hear it, but it could be louder.
Okay.
Good. Do you have original sound on yours too? That setting.
Is it like ducking?
No, it's not ducking, but I'm just checking to see if you had that set up beforehand. But it's not ducking. It's just it's distant just because the speakers are for
yeah.
So
one day we'll figure out a better way of getting.
Yeah, we'll work on that for next time for sure. We gotta get that one worked out. But all right,
gotta get better audio into the.
You can hear it for sure. So
okay. So we're taking a look at a C major arpeggio. This is going to be using frets 15 on your first string, 12 on your first as well, so 15, 12, 13 on the second, and then 12 on your third. So it's a G, E, C, G, and then back up, basically. So 15, 12, 13, 12, 13, 12, and then restart. So the sweep, we're really just doing a little baby sweep to start here. We're trying to keep things as simple as possible, and then it's going to get progressively more advanced. So the picking is going to be an up, then a pull off, an up on the second string, and then we start the actual sweep motion. So it's going to be a down, 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 on 12, 13, and 12. So I'll go slow again. You got an up, a pull off, another up on your 13th fret 2nd string, and then the sweep starts. 12, 13, 12. And then it would just repeat. So then you would have that up, pull off, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up. And that's basically, 6 tuplets, kind of like your normal sort of like we did tapping, kind of a arpeggio or an idea, right around that kind of speed is 6 tuplets. So the important thing with the sweep is don't think of it as 3 separate motions. We want the down to be, the best way of describing it is like your pick is falling from string to string, just like that. So that's the motion you want going nice and slow. So it's like I'm almost letting the resistance of the string kind of hold the pick in place, and then I just let it fall to the next string, and then the resistance of that string is holding my pick in place, and then fall to the next one. It's almost like, it's kind of like judo, actually, because judo is a martial art all about like using your body weight against your opponent. It's kind of like that. We need to like let the gravity or the motion of our hand just kind of fall smoothly from string to string. So I would recommend, before you even start to play the notes, actually, just let your pick fall from string to string like that. See how well you can control that at first, because that's the hard part. Once you're feeling comfortable with that, then just play the notes nice and slow. So, I'm doing 12, 13, 12. I'll just play through those notes. And then start to, put the whole thing together. So up, pull off, up, sweep, down, 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 up, up. And then, down, down, down. So that's the basic concept or the basic idea. So that's what example number 1 is. It's just a C major arpeggio being played as 8th note triplets, just cycling over and over again. Lollipop, 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 lollipop.
Yeah.
And start slow, get a metronome out, do all those other things too to try to, manage the technique. Remember that when you're working on a new technique like this, going slow at first is really your best bet, and then speed it up over time. Mm-hmm. So that's example number 1. Do we have any questions? Does that make sense?
Nothing, no questions there. That was really clear. Looked, no questions in the chat.
All right, awesome, cool. So we'll move on to example number 2. This is going to be substantially more advanced. This is going to be in the key of E minor, specifically E harmonic minor, and we're basically just going to wiggle our way slowly down the neck through that key, just kind of playing all the chords or arpeggios like diatonically, just in that. So it's going to go. So that's the whole guy, just nice and slow and steady. Same sort of rhythm as the last one. All of these are actually going to be based on the same thing. Either 8th note triplets, or number 3 will be 6 tuplets when we get there. So I'm just going to kind of yell out the chords as we're going, the arpeggios, and then kind of talk about what we're doing picking here. So it starts on an E minor triad, and then slides down to D major, down to C major, that one we just played, and then down to B major. And that's the harmonic minor part. So we're changing the note D to D sharp to create a harmonic minor scale. And the purpose of harmonic minor is to keep us in minor. That's why it's called harmonic. So I'll do it again. So we got E minor to D to C, B major. Then we're going to A minor, to G major, F sharp diminished, and then back down to E minor. So this arpeggio right here is basically the same one that we started on. It's just a bigger one where we're going to go down across the 5 strings. So it's going to be, and that's going to be our first sweep that's finally different. Well, actually, it was different on the B major too, but where we're going to do an up sweep. So far, all of our sweeps have just been down sweeps. Ups tend to be a little bit harder. For most people, it's a little more challenging. I know for me personally, it was substantially more challenging than the downs. And that's kind of the first part of the exercise, and then we just have like a little ending thing. So let's talk about those ups now. So when you get to the B major one is the first one. So E minor. And what I'm doing is the exact same pattern with my picking. Just when it comes time to play down, we're just going up, 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 up. So think the same thing with your picking motion. You want to be as smooth as possible. You can practice just doing that. So right now, I know I'm on like a guitar with a million strings. Stole it from Master of Puppets. No, that's not weird at all. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Kirk Hammett, he's got plenty of chops there, plenty of shreddy chops. So with your up sweep, you could start it the same way that we were talking about with the downs, just letting your pick kind of fall from string to string. You could do the same thing here, just let it fall all the way down to the 5th string. So you're basically doing an up from the 2nd all the way down to the 5th, and then ending with a down on that like last note. And that's like, a great example of exactly why sweep picking is so cool, because there's no way you could ever, alternate pick your way through that arpeggio that quick or that smooth. Also, if you were to try to tap your way through something like this, which you could totally do, it would sound smoother. And sweep picking is cool because it has the aggression or the edge or the attack of the pick. So that's the other reason why I like sweep picking for certain things more than like if you were to tap your way through it. Because you could tap arpeggios on the guitar very easily. But like I said, it sounds smooth, and I like the aggression of the pick. So, remember the big thing here is think of it as one motion, your pick just slowly falling from string to string. And it's going to take a long time to get real good at that. That's what makes sweeping so challenging. I think a lot of people start working on like the basics of the technique and then like just get stuck right away. And, sometimes you got to just power through and keep fighting with it. So let's talk about the ending, because we've got a couple different sweeps there as well. So we ended with that kind of E minor one going down the neck. Then I've slid into the note E here, and then we're going to do an E minor arpeggio up. So we're going to do a hammer on with a down, and then sweep down, 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 and then we got just going backwards. So I'm playing around with the harmonic minor thing again right over here. That's what the little guy is. And that's the ending. Oops, I hit the wrong string. So, like I said, be patient with the sweep motions. With these, take them very slowly. And you want to try to like program your motion in by playing it slow and then gradually speeding it up. How we doing?
That's great. Yeah. Can you just go through like each of the picking patterns for both of those?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So it's basically the same picking pattern for most of it. It's really just the big ones that change. So on the top ones, those are the same picking pattern that we worked on in example number 1.
Oh, great.
So we're going up, up, down, 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 up. And then we're doing like just a slide. So it's a little different there, but it's more a left-hand articulation change than it is so much a right. And then here's where it finally changes. Up, 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 down.
Gotcha.
So
up, down.
Up, down, 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 up, down. I guess it is like a little different because there is like a one note added in there.
Yeah, right.
And then the slide down. So like up, down, 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 up, down, slide, up, down, down, down. So the sweep is still the same. I think that's the important thing there. Yeah. And I notated on the tab, exactly what I'm doing. Remember that think of it this way. It's like one size fits all. It's like once we learn the basic picking for a certain arpeggio pattern, we're then just applying it to all of them. So it's not necessarily, once you get the pattern down on the one, then you got it on all of them. And then the different one. So it's a pull off, up, 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 down. And it starts over again, same picking pattern. Down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up. Oops. And then the same picking there on the larger E minor that we did on the B major. And then from here, down, and then just down, 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 up, 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 or up, 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 down.
Awesome. Thanks.
Hopefully that
again.
kind of clarified a little bit. What'd you say?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thanks for going through that again. Just that one's got a lot of notes in it, right?
It does have a lot of notes, and number 3 is going to have a whole lot more. So, a good idea here too is just to break it up. When you're first practicing it, breaking up, and maybe just like a pair of chords. So practice the E minor to D, and just do that a couple times.
Yeah, or even just getting the first one down. I guess that first example kind of helps you get the first one down.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's good. So start with that first one for sure. Don't really move on to number 2 until you feel good with number 1. That's probably the best way to approach it, right?
Yeah, we're kind of, number 1 is very basic. Number 2 is kind of, almost the deep end of the pool, and then number 3 is going to be very deep end of the pool, just to kind of I just want to show more like what you can do with this technique and why so many people love it so much.
No, I love it. And how you've been teaching these has been great. It goes, like you said, from the kiddie pool right into the deep end. Yeah.
And it's okay if, number 2 is too challenging for you. Like I said, you can break it up in little chunks. Take them in like pairs of arpeggios like that, or maybe just take number 2 just to the B major. In other words, just focus on E, D, C, and B, and then you can just stop there. You don't have to play all of these. You can just do the first couple and start to get the idea. And then, usually the way I like to tell my students too, remember that your brain needs time to like process anytime you practice. There's no way to cram on a musical instrument. You got to practice Monday on something for 10 minutes, Tuesday on something for 10 minutes, Wednesday on something for 10 minutes, and then that like half an hour when it hits Thursday that you've now put in because you've gotten away, you've done other things, you've watched TV, you've done your math homework. When you pick up your guitar, your brain is changing on a neurological level, so you need time away from the instrument, from the technique, and then you'll discover if you just, basically my point is if you just practiced a half an hour on Monday and then you went to practice on Thursday, it would be nowhere nearly as good if you broke that up and spread that time out over 3 days. Like that's the important thing to take away here.
Exactly.
So like if I have a gig that I'm playing on Friday and I'm going to try to roll out some new licks, I'm going to practice just a little bit Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then when Friday rolls around, I'm ready to go. That might only be like a half an hour, 45 minutes total time on that lick, but it'll be there. It'll be ready to go. Then if I crammed it 45 minutes the day of, I'm going to play a bunch of wrong notes.
Exactly. Yep.
So,
that's true. That muscle memory. And just like what Rob's saying is, this isn't going to take you hours. This isn't going to take you days. This is going to take you weeks, months, years to really perfect, right? It's the longer. These are bigger concepts. These are the kinds of things that we're trying to give you that these are going to change your these exercises and stuff are going to change your playing for the long term. This isn't the zoom in and work on your open chords and stuff like that. We're giving you high level stuff here, so that's great. All right, I think we could jump in.
We're I'm skipping a lot here too because we're not even really talking about the theory behind it really much, or hopefully
right.
A little bit of your triad shapes. Yeah, just practicing triads in general is. That's the most important thing you can do to get your guitar playing out of just bar chord boxes, you got to know your triads because that's going to open everything up. So we're kind of skipping all that, we're just sort of jumping right in.
Well, but talk to your teacher, about these triads, and we can break those down for you in your private lessons. Or if you want some lessons on just working with triads. You can find a lot of these triad shapes, though, in your open chords, right? You find these triad shapes, especially the one that Rob was just doing. It's a D shape, right? It's the D shape on guitar, and the D and D minor when you're playing on those top two strings. So that again, we're not going to jump too deep into that, but just even if you just take a look at the tab, you'll start seeing some shapes that you recognize somewhere on the guitar, right? You should see those. You should see those shapes. If you don't, let us know and we'll point them out for you. Even just circle see this? This looks just like a D shape.
And also try to group the chords by type as well. In other words, if we're playing D major right here, it's going to be the exact same shape for C major.
Right.
It's just 2 frets lower. The same way that if you played a D power chord or D bar chord and then you just moved it down to a C bar chord, it's the same basic shape, just moved. It's the same idea. It's just, more advanced. It might be a little harder to visualize, but it's the same basic concept. So same thing, if you're playing an E minor right here, when you play A minor right here, it's the same basic shape. So think of it as the same thing just moved. Now, obviously on the guitar, what makes it hard is the frets change size. So it's not like playing piano where a minor chord in one place is the same as a minor chord.
Right.
It's going to feel different because you have to stretch your fingers farther. But if you were to analyze and count the frets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's the same distance between the frets. It's just, frets are bigger there. But otherwise, it's still the same basic shape. And also those diminished ones, remember that diminished is technically diatonic to a major scale as well. So that's a chord that you don't necessarily hear about that much because there's only one of them. There's 3 major, there's 3 minor in any key, and you only have that one diminished. The diminished is really cool, and there's so many things you can do, especially superimposing that on other chords to get it more advanced kind of tension and different sort of sounds. So, again, try to think of them as categories. Major, minor, and diminished. Those are your 3 chords in major harmony, and that's all we're using on this one. It's nothing more than that.
And if you're confused at all by Rob's guitar, it's not a trick in your picture screen. He's got 8 strings on his, right? So that's
it's a lot, but it's a lot of fun though too.
No, it's super cool. It's super cool. He's got the coolest looking guitars. But so anything that you're looking at here, he's playing on his bottom 6 strings, the lowest 6 strings. The top 2 are extra strings that go down lower. So that's if you're looking and counting strings and you're like, there's something wrong with my picture.
Picture is good. Yeah, it's a low B and then a low F sharp all the way down there. And believe it or not, the H string it's super musical. I use it playing pop tunes with the cover band, and it works. It's actually really cool.
Well, you're just adding extra notes down low, right?
Yeah.
Your bass player might get mad at you, but that's...
Well, we don't have a bass player, so it don't matter.
Exactly. That's why I was going to say. That's why Rob can get away with it, right?
He's just in the computer. Anyway, all right. So I guess if we're cool, but does it gent? Oh, it gents. I love it. That comment, Jude, is awesome. Very cool. All right. So I guess we're on to number 3. So number 3 is the most, aspirational one of the bunch. We're going to have a little bit of legato playing as well. So legato is when you use a bare minimum amount of picking. The basic idea is you do most of your work with your left hand using hammer-ons and pull-offs. Legato, legato means in music smoothly or connected, and that's the idea with legato. It's almost like doing tapping with your, the way you would do tapping like this to get a smooth sound, but this is like bare minimum amount of picking and just moving this hand to get a very smooth sound. Some people almost think of legato as like cheating, but it's most definitely not. It's a whole nother technique with a whole nother sound. And I like to try to mix and match as much as together as possible. So, all right.
Hey.
A little sloppy. I'll do it again a little slower, obviously, a couple times, but kind of all over the place. I don't even know if you could see my neck well.
Yeah.
There's the harmonic at the end. So a whole lot of stuff going on there. It's still the same basic technique, though. We're still using a lot of that kind of back to number 1 with the exact same sweep picking pattern. This is in B harmonic minor now. And I was just reading the comments. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the first part is just going through all of the arpeggios of B minor. I'm just connecting them and just moving down the neck. So it's like a B minor root position, then do a B minor, that same one that we've been using before. It's technically called second inversion. And then we got first inversion. And that's the basic idea. So it's... and I'm connecting, you're going to technically end up playing the same note twice as you wiggle your way down. In other words, this like F sharp is the note that we then attach the root position 1 to second inversion. And then this 10th fret is where we connect second inversion to first inversion as we work our way down. So again, if you don't know your triad shapes, that's a big thing to practice. Just being able to move between those and visualize them and see them. There's a little bit of guitar smoke and mirrors going on when you connect from one to the next because you've got notes flipping pairs of strings, which can make it kind of confusing. But anyway, same basic picking here. Up, up, down, 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 up, up, down, 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 up, up, down, down, down. Just like that, just moving through. Whoops. Now, this one right here is the one that's going to be probably the most challenging because, all the notes are divided with different fingers on the different strings, which makes it a whole lot easier. This one you've got to play with a bar. So the trick is to try to roll your finger. The other thing to do is use a decent amount of palm muting to help get that definition. So I end up using a lot of palm muting on a idea like this. Palm muting on thin strings like this can be kind of challenging. So it's just another thing to kind of keep in mind. But, on the sweep, on the down, 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 I'm like really leaning heavy on the palm mute to help get that definition. So that's kind of the trick with that. Think roll. So it's like your finger. It's like we're starting with this part, and then we move our finger so that like the second string's in the middle, and then the third is like closer to your like the middle of your knuckle, and then back and forth. That's like a big technique. Like anytime you're playing like a parallel string, you could literally just practice that. I had a teacher in college who had me just do that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just to practice that finger roll with all four of your fingers. So at any rate, that's what we're doing to get definition there. Then we're headed up to an A major arpeggio, one B minor, and then we got a diminished 7. We don't have to get into what a diminished 7 is necessarily, but again, it's borrowed from that harmonic minor, or not borrowed from, it's from that harmonic minor scale. It's just a different shape for your left hand. Remember, all the picking here is exactly the same as warm-up number 1 or example number 1. So we're not doing anything different with our left hand. I'll yell out the chords as we go. So B minor, more B minor, more B minor, A, B minor, A sharp diminished 7. Then we're going back to B minor, more B minor, A diminished, just a triad. So this is subtly different. So instead of going onto 12th fret on the 3rd string, we're going to go to 9th fret on the 3rd. You basically do 2 of those. Now, the cool thing about diminished, one of the fun things, both the fully diminished, that guy, or that one, is that the shapes are symmetrical and they always look the same. So to get to the next inversion, you just move up 3 frets, and you got the next inversion of diminished, back down 3 frets, and you're back to diminished. So that's kind of the cool thing about diminished, and then that goes for the diminished 7 or just a diminished triad, is that they're symmetrical, and you can just move them around like that. And then from there, we've got just a big B minor arpeggio. And this one is finally different. It's kind of like those other ones that we were doing in example number 2. Whoops. So I'm going up, 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 down, hammer, down, 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 up, up, down. Sorry. Up, 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 down, 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 up, 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 down. So when you start to move them across all the strings like that, it starts, this is like one of those, impress your friends kind of a thing. It's going to turn people's heads, or get disdain from a sound guy. We had a sound guy in Boston once make fun of us because we were that band that always had the guitar players that did all the sweep picking. But, either one just depends on how jaded the person is who's in the room. But, the big ones are the ones that I really like. I think that's where it gets really cool. So I'll go through it again. B minor, more B minor, then A, B minor, A sharp diminished, B minor, more B minor, A sharp diminished, up to an A sharp diminished, back down to A sharp diminished, then a big B minor arpeggio, up, 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 down, 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 down. Now that part with the hammer-ons is just all B minor. It's a B minor arpeggio just played with legato or hammer-ons and pull-offs. So it's F sharp to B, F sharp down to D, reaching back up to F sharp, pull-off, and then ending on a B note on your 6th string. And all of those are 6-tuplets. So I forgot to mention that they're, oh, thank you, Clementine. These are 6-tuplets, which means 6 notes per beat. So just think basically triplets times 2, essentially, eighth note. So if you're going like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, those are eighth notes. Sextuplets are dega da dega da dega da dega da 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Jared, how do you count that? How do you do it?
Yeah, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It depends on when I'm doing. Sometimes I break it. I just perceive them as, or use lollipop, if like whatever is going to help you understand. But I a lot of the time I break them into threes, or I'll do like 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, something like that. But it depends on the instrument. Drums, you can look at it many different ways. Any instrument you can look at it many different ways. Actually, Keaton did a lesson earlier this week just all on metronome and subdivisions. So that's probably the one you should, if you want to know more about how you can take one rhythm and look at it as quarter notes or eighth notes or 16th notes, and he gets pretty into it with that. So you can check that one out. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, rhythm is kind of cool like that. There's more than one right answer technically,
Right.
It just depends on how you're feeling it, how you're subdividing it,
How you perceive it, right, is how you're going to look at it. Is that it's usually, it was a lot more important, and Keaton talks about this, is that it was a lot more important when everything was written. When it was written, you had to set the time signature and the note length so other people could understand what you were doing, right? This is before there was recorded music. There was lots of written music, and in order to play somebody's written piece, you actually had to be able to read what they wrote and see what. So I mean, I always say that sheet music, even tablature, anything really, it's shorthand, right? It would be very difficult to describe what somebody is doing without that musical shorthand. So it's pretty cool that we developed that. People, not we, I wasn't there, but they developed this whole language just to communicate what somebody was doing, so somebody else could duplicate it. That's always been very cool to me. Nice.
Yeah, totally. All right, so I guess we just got the end of the lick to cover now, or the end of number 3. So this is outside the pale of sweep picking, but it was the ending that I had for this guy, so I thought it'd be cool to just kind of include it. So it's just moving through a diatonic B minor scale. It's not harmonic minor here or anything. It's just kind of wiggling our way through it. The important thing here with a run like this is that if you notice, it starts on the of beat number 4. Now that's like really important when you're, after you've got the notes all put together and you can play them, you want to make sure that you start practicing them in the correct spot in the bar line. In other words, like if you start practicing this on beat 1 and not on the you're going to be hearing it like incorrectly. And it'll be like someone mispronouncing a word. So like, instead of saying, aluminum, you say aluminium, it's just like a weird way of saying it,
Yeah.
Even if one is right, if you're English. But at any rate, I made this mistake with like a run for one of my original band's songs a while ago, where I kept practicing it thinking it started on an and, but it really started on like an E. And like would get super frustrated because I'd get into rehearsal or even a gig and like couldn't get the thing to sit in the right spot. And it was just like, an obvious thing to try to keep track of. This is before I was really transcribing all my stuff and like making sure I understood exactly what it was rhythmically. So, with a run like this, make sure you're feeling it a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and because if you don't, then everything is going to be screwed up and it's not gonna phrase correctly. And then, obviously that can be really frustrating.
Yeah.
So with this one, we're starting with a pull-off from 3rd fret to open. And then I'm using all hammer-ons for the rest of the notes. Then I pick 2nd fret, slide up to 5. And then kind of this they're called scale fragments. So think of them as like different ways that you could group notes. So you could go, like if you had these 3 notes, you could go, or you could go, or they're all just like different permutations on those 3 notes. That's how people construct really impressive like runs on the fly, especially. 'Cause you're basically thinking these little teeny chunks, and I'm just selecting the different ones as I wiggle my way down through the neck. So that's like one way of helping you construct runs slowly, and then over time, then you can get to the point where you can just, melt faces and blow people's minds by connecting them all on the fly. But, that's obviously challenging to do, and that's more like an improvisation thing. So at any rate, it was 3 pull off to open, sliding up, and then I'm just doing, 3 notes like this, bumping up 1 fret. And then sliding all the way up. And then I've been trying to end, but I can't get this guitar to cooperate with me, but like a tapped harmonic at the very top. I think my action is kind of screwed up right now. There it is. That's an old like Eddie Van Halen trick. So if you like play a note and then tap 12 frets away from wherever you are, you're going to get the natural harmonic of that note. So like Eddie would just like bar across a chord and just tap that same thing, and you get these like almost kind of like
that's cool. So you actually physically tap against the string.
Yeah, you tap directly over top of
the fret. Yeah.
Yeah, this guitar doesn't want to work on it. It's so funny. My other ones will work, but there we go. That was a good one, like on the 3rd string.
Yeah.
So the trick with that is you want to hit directly over the fret wire. You actually slam your finger down on the fret wire like you would if you were doing a natural harmonic. Normally, yeah, my high strings don't want to work. And that's how you can get those kind of harmonics going.
Cool.
So I'll do the whole thing one more time. Try to not make it too sloppy.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, I was like, I can't get the note that way. I guess I got to go all the way up to get it.
See, that's some improvisation and changing things around a little bit, right? I'm sure if like you want something like a little bit higher quality recording, Rob could put like together a practice exercise or something to play along to too. If you want that, just let us know. But I mean, that sounded good. It sounded incredible. Technically. The stuff is awesome, Rob, as always. What I was saying, like the tapping on top. There's one of my really favorite guitar players is Andy Summers. We talked about him. I think we talked about him in the. He's the Police, the guitar player for the Police, where he does that. Like he'll like instead of actually pressing the string down, he just touches 12 frets above and like mutes the fundamental note, so you just hear that harmonic. But I never like thought to actually like hit it hard to get it too. That's pretty darn cool, man.
Yeah, Eddie Van Halen's like the king of weird. Him and Steve Vai. It's like just those dudes can make their guitars do all sorts of weird.
Yeah.
Like if you listen to the beginning of The Audience is Listening by Steve Vai, he like has a conversation with a person like through his guitar, like, and some of it really works. Like. Some of it not so much, but some of it really. Or Tom Morello, yeah, that's a great one too. That's another guy who can make his guitar do all sorts of weird noise. Especially Tom Morello uses that Digitech like whammy pedal thing to get.
Yeah, Jude just got one. He loves it.
Yeah. Dude, we should do like a whammy pedal clinic, man. I got all sorts of fun licks with the whammy.
Oh pedal. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're gonna figure out like how to really get the best of Rob's audio so that we can like really hear everything that he's doing. I mean, we can hear all the notes, but like to hear it in high fidelity is going to be way better. So we'll get that set up. It might even be cool to do something just on harmonics even too, right? You could probably just talking about pinch harmonics and all those kinds of things too. So
we could do like just like a weird noises thing because there's all sorts of fun.
Yeah.
Like my favorite one is the Guthrie Govan pick scrape, which is like normally, that's like your normal pick scrape, but he scrapes it against the string and goes high, and the pitch will change. I'm not doing a very good job of it right now. Yeah, I'm not doing a good job of it. Anyway, that's a cool one too. There's all sorts of weird noises you can do. On the guitar.
And maybe we could have Will do one like on Tellies, because Telecasters have their own thing. Like Telecasters have a bunch of little tricks built into them. You hear it a lot more with like country guys use Tellies a lot, right? Like Nashville is the Telly capital of the world. And you wouldn't think like country is going to get too outside of the box, but like, no, there's some really out there, like, what's the one Telly guy? Is it Brad Paisley?
He's nasty. Yeah, he's incredible.
Brad Paisley is nuts. Like, again, like, that's not my cup of tea, his music, but when he plays, like, I'm just like, what is that?
It's as bad as his guitar playing is good. His music is so bad. The lyrics are
music's not great. Yeah, like, his songwriting stuff is not great. But, like, he does this one, it's like the Kung Pao, or what is it? Like, spaghetti, it's like spaghetti western or something like that. And which is like a typical Tin Pan Alley kind of like, like that kind of super just countryed out riff, and then he goes nuts on solos that are like, I mean, for like especially that like clean compressed sound where like you can't hide behind it. Like you can't hide behind a clean, compressed Telly sound. It's the most like cutting, biting sound that cuts through everything. So you gotta play it right. You better play your parts right. I'm sure you didn't get. I wouldn't want to have been there to track all of the takes he probably asked to do it again over and over again. But
a lot of those guys are just so mint, though. Like it's really, really incredible.
Yeah.
And then there's even like I feel like country guitar is like the last spot that like real guitar playing gets to like do its thing in pop music anymore. But like I mean Guthrie Govan on his his it's called Erotic Cakes. This album's so good it's out of control. But there's a song called Rhode Island Shred and it's just straight up country licks and he's just going. It's so good.
Dude knows.
And even Marilyn Manson's guitar player, John Five. I mean, that guy, his whole deal, he plays a Telly. His whole deal was he was going to be like the best session player around. So on his, on his solo stuff, there's always a country tune on there with all these crazy cool country licks. So he's another guy to check out that like just melts faces in ways that you wouldn't expect. It's cool.
Cool. All right. Well, I was going to ask. Hey, do you have any suggested guitar players to check out for this for just cool stuff? But I think we just nailed some of them.
Like Jude just said, wonderful slippery thing. Like just listen to that song. Like that's Guthrie in like a nutshell. I mean, talk about like chops meets songwriting meets like actually being tasteful as well, and not just like shredding the whole time. It's crazy good.
Very good. All right, I'm gonna check that one out right after this. Cool. I think we're good to go, everybody. Anybody have any questions about anything? Oh, we got some questions from the crew. What's going on, Ev?
You guys got the work done yet?
You look like Jeff from Pearl Jam.
You look like a dude from Pearl Jam, apparently. Yeah. All right.
He plays the bass.
He plays the bass on Pearl Jam. Got it. Well, how about you, Clem? Any questions?
Yeah.
Being polite. Hey, Andrew, I need you to make sure he's being polite. Okay. All right.
Any questions? No? All right. Jude says he does not have any questions at the moment either. Clem, do you still have a question? Hold on, I got to unmute you again. What's that?
No.
No? Okay. Well, thanks for hanging out with us again today. Me and Mr. Rob are available for all of you. If you have any questions, this is, we love to help. This is why we teach. We love to help you guys figure out how to get better than us. That's what I want for every one of you. Get better than me. It's not that hard. I'm not that great. So, thanks, Rob.
Yeah, thanks for the people who popped in and checked this out. This is appreciated a lot. And I guess everyone have a good day. Try not to get too cabin fever.
Yeah, right. Well, we've got the open mic night tomorrow night. We're doing open mic, Zoom open mic, so you should sign up for that, 4 to 6. That will give you something to practice all day today and some tomorrow. And then, so we'll keep you busy with that. And all of these clinics are recorded and put on YouTube and Facebook. So if you miss anything, or if you want to go back and watch again, this is especially one you probably want to go back and watch little parts again, just as a reminder. They're all on a YouTube playlist and Facebook as well, on our Facebook page. So check those out, and we'll be back to shred more heads soon. I'm working on my sign-offs, okay? I'm working on my sign-offs. Shredding heads, right? All right, I got an LOL. I got a laugh from Rob and an LOL from Jude, so we might need to... That one's going in the maybe keep it pile. All right, guys. See you soon. Hopefully see you at the open mic tomorrow night. Later.
Sounds good. Woo!